Hey y'all, it's Erica. Welcome back to Books Carry Me Away. And today I'm going to talk about my plans, my May TBR. A little overambitious, but I'm just like, what else is there to do? So I'm going to be trying to participate in 3 readathons this month. Okay, and I'm trying to match books to each one to see if I can't like double and triple dip into all 3 readathons. So one of them, or actually 2 of them, are month-long readathons. The first one is the Asianreadathon, and it's being held by Read with Cindy, and she's got a couple co-hosts, and she has 5 prompts for those. And the first prompt is just read a book by any Asian author. The second one is that you read a book about an Asian character who is similar to you. So she gave the example, if you're an immigrant, then you read a book about an Asian immigrant, or if you're just a woman, you read about an Asian woman. The third prompt is that you read a book about an Asian character that is different from yourself. So back to, if, since I'm female, then I could read about an Asian character that is a male, or I could read about an immigrant or somebody that is bisexual or queer. And the fourth prompt is that you read a book recommended by an Asian booktuber or somebody on the book community that is Asian. And she also got a 5th prompt, and they're trying to do like a group read and a group watch of Little Fires Everywhere. And I don't know if I'm going to participate in that. That might be something I add on at the end, but I might miss that window because she's got like a specific time. But all of her stuff is linked down on her channel, and I'm going to make sure that I link it down in my comments as well. The second readathon that I'm going to be participating is Topple, being hosted by Sam over on Thoughts on Tomes. She does this, I think, twice a year. I don't know if this is a little bit earlier just based on all the pandemic thing and us needing to stay at home that she's moved it up, or if this is her normal time for Thoughts on Tomes. Her thing is really, really simple. She has a bingo card that I'll be sure to link kind of up in here, over here. And what she just really asks for everybody to do is to read books over 500 pages. And you can use one book for 2 prompts or 2 bingo squares, and then you have to kind of work on the other one. So there's like 9 bingo squares, and if you can cover books, 1 and 2 books can cover 2 bingo squares. I think that's 4 or 5 books over 500 pages. Good on you if you're motivated to do that. So the third read along that I'm actually really excited about, and I'm excited about the other ones as well, but this one's just super cute, is the Believeathon, being hosted by How to Train Your Gavin. I'll link his channel below. He's really great with like the middle grades and children's fiction and things like that. So he is doing this amazing readathon. I feel like it's up there in regards to creativity, and the amount of thought and effort that he's put into it is very similar to the Owl's Readathon that was held in May. So in his readathon, he has come up with a compendium, a little booklet, which I'll put up here on the screen, and it is amazing. It's got an oath, it's got book recommendations, it's got all the little like steps and prompts and things like that. He's got a map for us, and what he's doing is he's just trying to bring awareness to middle grade and children's fiction and trying to get everybody a little bit more involved in that genre. I'm ready for it. It's something lighthearted. I'm not looking for anything super deep at the moment. With everything going on in the world, I'm looking for those uplifting escapism books. So with his, you have to pick, you start at one point, and then you kind of go, okay, am I going to go to this location or this location? And you just kind of keep working through the map until you get at the very end. And I'll go through my book picks for each prompt and kind of show you the path that I'm going to be going for his readathon. So the big challenge for me getting everything together for picking books out off my shelves was trying to match like books that could cover both Topple and Asian readathon. And then there was like, okay, any of these work in regards to both Topple and Believeathon, or Believeathon and Asian readathon. we'll see. I might have to pull as I go through the month to see what is going to work out and how it's going to flow. So we will see. But the first book that I am working on, and it's a carryover from my April TBR, and it's going to be The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. It is the book that I had to have to become a potioneer with a white cover. I'm probably a fourth of the way through it. I'm still going to continue it into May, and I'm still going to count it for newts in August. Nobody grill me. So this book is about what happens to a country when the Dark Lord actually wins and they are stuck under his rule for over 1,000 years, and a criminal mastermind and an unlikely heroine decide that they're going to try to hold a revolution or a revolt, and they're going to try to use this magic that they have in their country called allomancy, which is kind of a magic that they get from ingesting different type of metals, and each metal gives you a different type of power and how you use it, and that's, I think, a specific amount of time. And so there's people that can use just one metal and ingest it, and it's usually like a common thing, but for somebody to be able to ingest multiple metals and they're known as a mistborn, it's very uncommon. So I think we know where we're going with that. So this is going to cover my Tome Topple prompts. I don't know which one on the bingo card. I'm not necessarily sure which one's quite yet. And then it's also part of the Cosmere read-along that I'm still participating in. I don't know the live dates yet for the show where we talk about the Final Empire. I will link that down, or at least put it on my social at some point or another to let everybody know if you want to participate in it. So that is book number 1. It's kind of the overflow. So the second book that I am going to work on, and Tome Topple I think starts May 8th. So I'm hoping that I kind of read that fairly quickly, and about May 8th that I pick this up. So this book is going to cover another Tome Topple bingo couple squares, and then it's also going to be part of my Asianreadathon. And so it is a book by an Asian author. And it is also going to cover, we can combine prompts in that readathon as well, and it's going to cover reading about an Asian character that is like myself. So it's a female character named Ren, and Ren is a orphan peasant that takes a specific standardized test that they hold throughout the empire that she lives in. And she actually does really, really well. Everybody's surprised, and she ends up getting accepted into this prestigious military school. And while she's there, she is bullied by a bunch of people based on her color, her gender, her just like economic status, things like that. And she ends up finding out that she has a special ability called shamanism. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But it is a power that is bestowed by the gods, and she's finding out that these gods might not be as dead as what everybody thinks they are, and she's thinking that she's also going to be able to help her country that is still kind of like on this like tipping point between, just getting out of war and maybe starting another war, case in point the Poppy War title, and just kind of where she fits in this new life that she has created for herself, or that fate's kind of landed in her lap. So that is my second book for the month. Okay, the last part of my TBR is part of my Believeathon TBR. And what I did is I went through the path or the map that Gavin has put up. For the first stop on the map is you're supposed to start at the Poacher's Pocket Inn. That is a hard thing to say. And for that prompt, you have to read the first book in a series. For the first prompt, I'm going to pick up The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chinaini. So this book I've been wanting to pick up for a while because it just screams something that I'm going to love and adore, because it is a fairy tale, princes and princesses and witches and wizards and all that type of stuff. It seems super familiar to the musical Wicked. I feel like these two characters remind me a lot of Elphaba and Glinda, just based on the synopsis that we have for the book. And what it is that Sophie and Agatha are best friends, and in this country that they live in, they're waiting to find out what school they're going to be placed in. And the thing is with these schools is that it's a training place or a school for people to become fairy tale characters. So princes, princesses, witches, wizards, evil versus good. And Sophie thinks that she is going to definitely end up in the school for the good because she's all about pinks and frills and goodness. And Agatha, on the other side, thinks that she's going to end up in the school for the bad because she's all about like kind of black and kind of standoffish, wicked cats, things like that. But they end up in opposite schools. So Sophie ends up in the school for the bad and Agatha ends up in the school for the good. And I just think that sounds so cool, and it's gonna be such like an escapism type thing. And it's a 6-book series. I think the last book comes out this June, and I'm slightly concerned because I only have the first book. And I have a feeling I'm gonna wanna devour this series, and I'm gonna have to find a way to find the other books. So, see how that goes. And then it's also 500 pages. I think it's no, it's not. It's 488. This is one of the books for Tome Topple. I had a hard time trying to find books that were over 500. It was like I picked up one and it was 480, 470. So it's not. It's close, but it's not. So that's my first prompt. So after the Poacher's Pocket Inn, you had an option of 3 places that you could go. You could either go to the Yellow Brick Road, Baba Yaga's house, or the Wonderfalls. I do have my computer down here to make sure I know where I'm going. So I chose to go to Baba Yaga's house. And at Baba Yaga's house, you had, the prompt for that was that you had to read a story about a family relationship. So the book that I picked up was Snow and Rose. I've had this for a little bit. I got it on discount. It's just a super cute cover, and it's got illustrations in it. So that was kind of like a, you know, a cover by type deal. I'm trying to find the illustrations, but super cute, super pretty. And what I've, you know, after I got over the cover and the illustrations, I found out it is actually a retelling of Snow White and Red Rose. Never heard of it. Apparently it's kind of like an obscure fairy tale. Things I'm going to look into after the readathon and after I've actually read this. But the story itself is about 2 sisters that are very different from each other, Snow and Rose, and they live in an enchanted forest that needs help with breaking curses and things like that, but they've been orphaned because their parents have disappeared into these woods. And so it's about these 2 sisters. So that covers that prompt. So after Baba Yaga's house, I picked to go to the Deep Woods. And in the Deep Woods, the prompt for that is that you read a book that was published before 2000. I'm going to continue on my Roald Dahl reading. I've read Matilda and I read the Fantastic Mr. Fox this past month for Owls. And so this month I'm going to be reading George's Marvelous Medicine. And from what I can tell is that George has a grandma that is very mean and nasty, and he gets put in charge of taking care of his grandma one day, and the one thing he's supposed to do is give his grandma his medicine. Well, she's been so nasty to him, she's like, well, he's like, I'm gonna fix her. And he apparently goes to mess around with this medicine, and I saw something about maybe like making her head explode, and I'm like, okay, that's a little much there, George, but I'm gonna find out what's going on. And I'm in love with the fact that it has a chicken on it because I'm a chicken mom, and yeah, they're cute. So I'm doing that one. So after the Deep Woods, I'm then traveling over to the Brawley Rail. And the Brawley Rail's prompt is that you're supposed to read a book that has a cover that has some sort of form of transportation on it. For this prompt, I'm finally going to be reading Nevermoor, The Trials of Morgan Crow. And this has been sitting on my shelf for forever, and I am just so mesmerized and think this thing is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life because it has so much sparkle and sheen to it. And then it has the most beautiful, like, actual book ever. It is so gorgeous. But, I mean, I could go on and on about how gorgeous this book is all day, and you still wouldn't know how this, like, fulfills the prompt because I haven't talked about it yet. So, what it is about the prompt is it's supposed to be that transportation, and apparently Morgan and a bunch of these people travel around with these umbrellas, and that's their form of transportation, so it is on the cover. It's supposed to be about Morgan Crow, who is an 11-year-old, or no, she's 10. She's supposed to die on her 11th birthday. That's her curse. And on the eve of her 11th birthday, this man called Jupiter North shows up and takes her over to the land called Nevermoor. And in Nevermoor, she is trying to compete in these 4 trials where she's supposed to be accepted into the Wondrous Society. And I think it sounds super whimsical. People are, like, I've heard it compared to Harry Potter, and I hear it's super easy to read, easy to get through. And so that's what I'm going to be reading for that prompt. So the next prompt that I have to read is, you are at the end of the map and you are at Bookkeeper Stronghold. The prompt is that you read the second book in a series. So I'm going to pick up Wundersmith, which is the second book in the Nevermoor series by Jessica Townsend. And I don't know much about this because I'm afraid it's gonna be spoilers for Nevermoor. But I had to pick up the second book in the series that is just as shiny, just as pretty, because it is just as pretty, yet again, underneath of the jacket. And I believe the third book is supposed to be coming out in August. I think it might have been pushed back, and God knows if it's going to be pushed back again because of everything going on. But I know that I'm going to go ahead and hit up Waterstones and get my third book in this beautiful edition. So that is what I'm going to do for Believeathon. And so this is my May TBR. Is anybody as confused as me as to which books fill which prompts, which readathons? Yeah. So I'll put a little bit of a breakdown in regards to what books I'm trying to make work for what readathons to fill what prompts somewhere up here on the screen, just for my sanity and for yours. So please let me know down in the comment section what books, what readathons, what you're doing, what are your plans for in May, just to kind of help us continue to go through this tough time. Until then, make sure to hit the subscribe button, give me a like if you're excited about my reading plans just as much as I am. And until then, I hope you get wrapped up in a good book and get carried away by the story. Bye, y'all.